Hello game gurus and welcome to the Level Design Lobby. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well, playing and or making the games that you love. You're joining me, your host, Max Bears. And today is another special episode, as each one is special. I have a very pleasant guest who is doodling his heart till his heart content, Daniel, drumroll, Hargreaves.
Hi, Max.
So, Dan is an environment artist. We worked together back at Ubisoft and we're working with one another again.
It's great to be back with you, Max. We're like a couple, a married couple.
A lot of arguing with us, a lot
back
of
and
love.
forth. Good fun.
But yeah, Dan's joining me today because we want to talk about environment art and how he got into it and sort of the relationship, not just between Dan and myself as a married couple, but the relationship between level design and environment art, because these two
are always button heads. Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put it in the non-political way. Correct.
Yeah.
So before we get on, Dan, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about your bearded self? He has a glorious beard. You can't see it, but it's an
maybe you
amazing
should get
beard.
a picture of me on the thing.
Yeah, I'll put a picture of it. If you're going to watch on YouTube, we'll put a picture up of Dan now.
A glorious beard. You want me to start from the very beginning of how I got into this?
I mean, as a tortured artist and a tortured soul, tell us all.
Oh man, open up a big book here. So this goes back to when I was like, I'll start at the very beginning, how I got into... I was born in 1989.
I did think you were going to say how Mama and Dad and Dog Hargreaves met.
No, so basically how I first got into art was when I was 12 or 13. I don't know if you know, like, Flash animations. Yeah, of course. I just wanted to make sure. But there was a website called Newgrounds, and I used to love that.
Still going? Do you know?
It's still going, yeah. Okay. But back in its heyday, I think it was around the 2000s, 2005. I used to go on it quite a lot in my younger teens, so like 12 or 13. I really loved the animations which people did, and I was like, fuck, what can I swear?
Yeah, because I swear.
Fuck, I really, really, really want to do this. So I thought I'd find out how to do it. So I got hold of a maybe legal or illegal copy of Flash. And then I just like read loads of tutorials. I just worked a lot on it, and I started making these little cartoons. And then I submitted them to Newgrounds. A lot of them got blammed, as they call it, which is basically is their way to say deleted, because people vote on the videos, and if it doesn't pass over like 1 out of 5 after a month or something, it gets deleted. So like my first 3 or 4 got deleted because they were so bad. And then I made like a really big one, and then that was always petering on the edge of like 1.5. And then I made another one. It was about Pac-Man and how he goes crazy in the maze and just kills all the ghosts. That was good times. But that was always around 2.5. I was doing quite well. But I think that's purely down to one of my mates who just keeps... When we was younger, he used to always, every day, vote 5 stars on it. Even though it's just really not worth 5 stars. Deserves to go in the grave. But yeah, so that was that. And then I did that for a little while. And then I kind of got into... Well, not got into it, but I started looking into modding some games. Yeah. And I was like looking into forums, and I was looking at what people were producing. And I was like, oh, this is really cool 3D stuff. How do I do that? So it's like the same story. I got hold of the software and tutorials.
Legally.
Yeah, £5,000 software legally. And it just started from there, and then it's just doing that for many years while working a full-time job. And I was just like, I can't do this on a full-time job if I want to get somewhere. So I decided to go to uni. And then I just worked my ass off throughout uni. And then... and then Reflections. Playground Games, then Reflections, and then this company. But
so, what made you choose art then? Because it sounds like you're a bit of a Renaissance man in terms of animation. I'm trying to make you sound exotic to the listeners.
I'm really not exotic. No, it's just What you? Sorry, I forgot. Would say a question again. I will.
This is why we argue. He never listens to how I feel. No, I was saying. So, what made you choose environment art? Like out of all the disciplines.
Well, actually, that's
that one goes way back.
No. It's actually more of a recent thing. So when I first got into it, I wanted to do characters, and I did do characters for quite a long time. This is before I got into uni.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's during uni as well. Just because everyone loves making the hero character, so I wanted to be a part of that. So I did that, and then as I kind of got progressed with it, I discovered that man, it's hard. It's hard to get because there's so much competition.
Yeah.
So many people also want to do the same thing, but they're also a lot better, or they've had drawing experience for the rest all of their lives, which I didn't have. And then kind of I've always loved architecture. It's always fascinated me. So I thought I'd try it, and then I made a couple of buildings. This was for a uni assignment, I think in our first year. I was like, oh wow, it actually turned out really, really well. And
it didn't get bland on
it didn't get bland. So I just kind of progressed with that, and then I kind of found my niche, and then I got a job from that.
Nice.
Very nice.
So Dan's exciting story. After you chose to go into environment art, what's have you just drawn?
I'm drawing. It depends how you see it, but
Dan's
I see eyes. What do you see, Max?
Very.
Let me add one thing to make it obvious.
My God.
Oh no, now I'm going to make it not obvious. Anyway, yeah. We're getting lost in my very amazing doodles.
Doodles for days. So then after you picked that, tell us what you do, and the listeners what you do on a daily basis, I guess, because now that you got a job, you broke into the industry, as you said, before we move on to that, I want to ask you this question. So because there's a lot of students and up and coming devs who listen to the podcast. So what is it that you think that helped you stand out to get a job and be employed? Like words of wisdom you could pass on to them.
So if you go through university, if you're going through the student route, I found networking to be so valuable, incredibly so. Because you realise when you get into the industry, it's very kind of social, but you're constantly talking to people, so you have to get on with people. So you want to be that sort of person. But also as you're kind of in most uni courses have opportunities to network with industry people, so kind of push that as much as you can, and just go down that route. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought as I'm speaking.
It's alright, Dan's ill, so he's not
yeah, I'm half ill, so it's just
I've given him green tea to try to keep him on track.
And copious amounts of pills.
Wait, what? So, okay, with that then, how did you get your first job then?
Through networking.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was really good mates with a guy on course, and we worked together for our final project. And he got a job just before we graduated. And as he was in that studio, a friend of his boss came in and was just like, oh, the studio I'm working for, which is Playground Games in Leamington, working on Forza Horizon 2. We're like, oh, we need someone in here just to help out for 3-4 months to help us ship the game, basically, just do bugs. And then his boss passed it on to my mate, and then my mate passed it on to me. So I got in contact with a guy, and then he's just like, quick interview. It's just, oh, you're perfect. When can you start? And I was just like, as soon as. So I went into Playgrounds, and I knew it was just going to be a short sprint. I didn't think I'd get a full-time job at the end. So I tried to network again. I just tried to put my head down and work as hard as I could, show that I am decent, I am worthy to get a full-time job, even though I knew they wasn't going to get me as a full-time. But by working really hard, I got friendly with the head of the studio as well. And when he heard my contract was up, he was like, oh, I know someone from Ubisoft Reflections. I used to work with her back at our old studio. I'll put your name forward. And he put my name forward. A couple of days later, they got in contact with me and was like, we've got a junior environment artist position. Do you want to come for an interview? So no, art test, which I hate. So we just went straight to the interview. I bossed that somehow with my social awkwardness, which was awesome. And then, and then a similar thing happened from Ubisoft to where I'm working now. It's a very, very similar thing. It's just I know people who work with people here, and it's just gone from that. To be honest, every single job I've applied through online, I've had like an interview which maybe didn't go my way for whatever reason, but every job I've had is through that networking. So yeah, networking all the way. And also obviously working, busting your ass and making sure you're doing good work, study hard. If you're an artist, just draw a lot as well. Your fundamentals are so key. Yeah, I missed out on quite a big part. Art is everything, but networking is super, super important. I think a lot of people overlook it as well. Because working with like not necessarily awkward people, but people who can't really communicate very well, or it just makes life a lot harder. And when you're trying to solve issues, and this industry is all about solving problems, I find. Yeah, I mean, half my day is just solving problems. Yeah, no. And then the other half is being artsy.
It's causing problems.
Yeah, it's causing lots of problems with you.
No, I think that's a valid point to hit on. Is I remember when I was getting told when I was coming in, the industry is really small, and at first I was like,
incredibly small, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when they said that, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, same reaction.
Acting like an absolute teen. Yeah. But whatever, Dad. You don't know me. But yes, no, it is incredibly small. Like Dan's saying as well, we've moved countries. And every time I've gone to a different country, I've only been to like three of the countries, work related. Yeah. Every time I've gone there, someone knows. Yeah, you know someone of someone. Yeah, it's a friend of a friend. Yeah, exactly. So again, I think that's another thing to keep in mind when you're networking. Don't make a stupid impression.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah, that was one of my big rules.
And you somehow got through it? How did you do it, Max?
It's a healthy balance. I've got a good smile, so. But yeah, I think that's one, and it's something to listen to, because if you're not doing it through the student route, I think it's more important because of.
Yeah, because you're not given those opportunities. So with uni, we had loads of guest talkers. Yeah. So we was given those opportunities to network. But if you're on your own, it's more difficult. Not to say it's impossible.
No. I'm sure there's many indie devs who do it anyway. There's loads of like events. Like we're in Krakow, and there is socials. And back when we were in Newcastle, there was this monthly game dev drink. So there's all these places that you can go to. It's just sometimes finding them at first can be a bit hard at the beginning, but once you know,
it's not even just the socials. It's so a lot of countries do these not like conferences, but like events, which is so in England we have industry workshops. So we'll get loads of guest speakers, and they will talk about like their pipeline, their methodologies, how they work. And they're all like industry vets. They've been in the industry for like 5-10 years. They know their stuff. They come in to talk. So you can learn a great deal of stuff from them. But it's also a giant piss up as well. So it's a great excuse to get drunk, but also to network as well. These events are always sold.
Just in a quick side note with Dan's giant piss up statement, because that'll probably be the tagline of this episode, is careful not to make an idiot of yourself when you're drunk, though. Like, there's getting merry.
I've made an idiot of myself before, but
you already had the job.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, once you got a few years under your belt, then you can be an idiot.
Yeah, but try not to do it where you're like, oh, this guy's really cool. Yeah. I'll get drunk around him, or her. It's. But yeah, no, I think that's some good points. The piss at one, maybe not as much, but
no. To be honest, it's I've seen a lot of people. Because a lot of students go to these as well. It's like half industry vets, but also half up-and-coming students. And I always get talking to them, and they're really friendly. And sometimes you want to help them out because you do see their work, and you see they are good people, and you see they can fit into your company or your ex-company or something. So you do, maybe you would take the extra step to help them. So
I don't understand how I said the piss up thing, and that had how those two met.
I'm making a positive spin on
a
dirty word.
Okay, so now that we've got Dan's insightful backstory, his Dan Hargreaves movie one, we'll go into, I guess, now what your daily, as you said, you were saying about problem solving and stuff. What do you do for listeners who are unaware of environment artist role? What is it that your daily routine?
So mostly it's working with concept artists, level designers, aka Max, who is my level designer at the moment.
Hello.
Which I hate.
Hate's a strong word, damn.
So we're working together to build things. It's constantly, we're figuring things out as we go, sort of thing. So it's not just like the concept artists will produce something amazing, then we go off and make it. We're 3 departments working together to make sure each department gets what they want from it. So there's a million little micro problems which arise from that, be it kind of like, does this work for combat space, or is this does this lead the player in the right way? Is this easy to read for the player on what to do?
Yeah, does it tell the lore of the world?
World building, storytelling.
I
mean they're all parts of it.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing as well. Is it is a real team building thing, and there is moments where we both want the best.
Yeah, we're all fighting for our side. Yeah, of course.
And sometimes that's a thing to remember. Is we all want the best, and there's no other bad feelings. I mean, it's only bad between me and Dan because we just don't like each other. But
there's a lot of fist fights. I come in with a knife sometimes.
Just to say, the occasional weapon is brought into it. But I mean, we work together on a regular basis because we normally, because we work together in 2 studios now. Mm-hmm. I feel our fates are kind of tied together at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. I just want to get away from you now, Max.
I love that can't be broken. For us, is we take a space and then we look at it together and we're trying to assess how to build it. From my point of view, it's the gameplay, how to make sure it's fun and the player knows what they're doing, how they move through that space, while Dan's trying to
make it pretty. Just make it pretty. Bring it back to basics.
Yeah,
I just want to make it to look good. But also there's technical constraints as well. So I need to make sure it runs properly. So you might want to throw together a really complex level with loads of awesome stuff. I'm just I can't do this technically. So because I've got technical restraints, can we maybe, I don't know, drop half a level or redesign it in a certain way?
I just want to state in the X years we've worked together, Dan has never used that as a reason to spite me. It's normally other things of, no, Max, it won't look good.
You don't know anything about art, Max.
You're not my dad. So yeah. No, it's one of those things where it is finding the balance, because also there's some areas, for example, where there isn't much gameplay here. So I know, for example, that Dan can have more free reign on this, and it's all good from my point of view, as long as it does some basic level design stuff, like rules that it abides by.
Yeah.
But there's other times where Dan knows, probably by my angry facial expression, that this is a gameplay area, and it's this is why I need to get control. Exactly.
You've got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
So
Dan's everyone with me. So
so for instance, if there's a boss arena or something like that, or gameplay is key, it has to be smoother. So I will let you take the reins more so. Yeah. And I don't mind pushing the art to the side to make sure it plays well. But on the flip side, if it's just kind of a route to get from one area to another, or there's not much combat, I would want to put something awesome in.
Yeah.
Because we're picking our battles.
Yeah. And everyone knows I'm against awesome, so I fight hard to stop him. Okay, so now that we've done a bit on our... It's a shame it's not live, because it'd be nice to get some questions in for us, but
Well, maybe when this podcast get over like 2 viewers, we can get we can get like a Twitch stream or something.
I mean, audience, please, for my sanity, prove Dan that it's more than 2 views.
Or maybe you can get some YouTube comments. Like, what questions would you like to ask for our next guest?
Next one. Well, I mean, probably for us, like round 2 or something.
Yeah.
You know, because each episode is its own unique thing, Dan. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
I'm so busy. I'm so busy making your like terrible level design work. I don't leave the office.
That'll be amazing if I'm able to get a job after this one.
Just slaughtered you.
And another thing you do wrong. Yeah.
Please don't hire Max. He's terrible.
Send help.
Well, I need to say Morse code.
But yeah, we've got another topic that Dan would like to take the lead on. So,
don't make me take the lead on this.
See, he gives me trouble every time I take the lead, but you know, leaders are meant to lead, Dan.
Hey, I'm self-confessed, not a leader. I'm a follower, right?
Doesn't follow me enough. But before we do that, we'll do a quick break.
Yeah, okay.
Just before we get on to the second part of the episode, I just want to say, if you don't already, please do check me out on Twitter @MaxPairs, because I do a lot of bite-sized sort of level design tidbits and advice there. It's a great way for me to communicate with many of you, and a lot of you already tweet to me. So if you haven't already, please do go check me out on Twitter, because that's how I like to interact with people. I'm active on there, and I deliver about 2 to 3 tweets a day, which are small level design and game design tips out there. So if you are looking for more small and quick information, then check out my Twitter. But now, back to Daniel.
No.
So
I'm still doodling. Let me doodle.
I can't ever let you be happy, Dan. I'm sorry. So we are going to talk about in the second part is Stalker, because Daniel, it's your favourite game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few of my favourite games, but Stalker always has a special place in my heart. But I want to mention like a few honourable mentions. One is Metro, which is basically Stalker. That's why I like it. It's pretty much the same. But it's funny because the history of the studio of games is they're basically the same. You had like the same staff working on Stalker, but man, it was development hell on Stalker. It was like 8-9 years trying to make the original, and a lot of the staff left, and they made their own. Well, they made Metro, which is also based off a book. Stalker's based off a book.
Do you know why it was in such a big...
I don't know why it was in development hell, but I know it was supposed to be the first DirectX 9 game, and it was supposed to have all these awesome DirectX 9 features, like this is getting more technical, so I don't know how much you know, but like parallax mapping and it's like some sort of new lighting method and a few other things. I remember seeing the first few screenshots when I was a kid, and like, oh my god, this looks awesome for a game of that age. And then you never hear about it for years. And then it turned out to be like one of the last DirectX 9 games to be released. So yeah, it took a very long time, but it still looked awesome when it was released. It is a very good game.
Still looks decent now.
Yeah, it still looks really well. But the same with with Metro. First Metro is old, but the lighting just made it awesome. It still looks, like you said, really good today. Yeah. But yeah.
So I guess what is it that made Stalker so appealing to you? You know, what is it that made you enjoy the game?
So maybe I'm going to get a bit mixed up because it's been so long, but I've always had a fascination with Chernobyl, the nuclear disaster. I don't know if that's because of Stalker or I love Stalker so much because it's Chernobyl. I don't know which way round it is because it's been so long, but it's just a really interesting event, horrific as it is, because a lot of people have seen the quite famous pictures of the fairground, the school, the swimming pool, the classrooms, really famous pictures from Pripyat, which is the city next to Chernobyl. And I just love the images. They just look so cool. So a game based around that stuff in that, and to see that all up close and to explore it was just really awesome to me. Plus, they merged it with a very from a book and a film. The book is called Roadside Picnic. It's like by a Russian author. I forgot his name. Apologies to you. I don't know if you're listening.
I'm sure he's listening.
I think he's dead actually because it's quite an old book. But also the film was based off the book. The film was called Stalker, and it's just a really weird, interesting film. And they merged the book and the Chernobyl event, and they made Stalker. Because the book and the film aren't actually based on Chernobyl. They're actually, I think that was wrote before the accident. But yeah, it's just there's loads of interesting source material, interesting real events, and for some reason Eastern Europeans are just crazy creative, and they just have a different take on things. A lot of Eastern European games and devs are really unique, and I really like that. But that's just like some part of Stalker. Now, if we go on the other parts where I like it, it was a FPS shooter, but also incorporate like RPG elements. So you could, I think this is one of the newer versions, but you could upgrade your gun, you could scavenge for things. What I really liked about it, and I never see this done in games a lot, is weapon jamming.
Oh, okay.
So your weapon can jam, and your weapon will degrade, and the more you use it, more likely it is to jam. So then you have to repair it. And it had its own like unjamming animation. And I really, really like that, but I never see it in games these days. I know a lot of people don't like it because things just have to be flowing. You can't have things to interrupt you, but I really like that. I like the realism, and that's what Stalker does really, really well. But there's also other things. Like art-wise, it's amazing. It's a beautiful looking game. Atmosphere is unbelievable if you have like a 5.1 surround sound or a good headset. The sound of some things is so creepy. You go into one of these underground labs, and you have these zombies, they're always coming around you, but you never see them, and you have like things creaking and like water droplets, so you're always tense, always incredibly tense, always on your toes. So always like peeking around the corners, constantly hitting F5 to save, go around the corner, F5. That's how I play my games. Yeah, so it's just, that really sticks with me. There's a lot of scary moments, but that sticks with me. I know the AI was quite kind of groundbreaking for the time. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called A-Life, the system.
Okay.
But like all the animals had a routine to do every day, so they would get hungry. So you would see the dogs hunt certain other mutated animals because they had to feed. So they would hunt in packs. So they would kill the animal. They would go off to sleep, and they would just have a cycle to do that every day. And then other animals do other things, and then you have all these other like factions. They would go out hunting. They might come across like a pack of dogs, and you'll see them fight. And there's so much life to the game, which is again really cool to see, and especially in quite an old game as well.
No, I think it's nice.
Correct. Yeah, that's quite a lot of points, but
I think it's good to show of why. Is there anything like? Because obviously you clearly really like the game. Is there anything that you took away, or like when you're working on an environment, you think like a lesson you might have learned from Stalker or something that you might try and apply? Because you say a lot about world building and how that there. Is there anything you took away from it as a professional? I mean, I guess it's before you were professional.
Yeah, it's way before I was a professional.
Yeah.
But I guess it got me into the game, making games. But I would probably say checking your source material.
Okay.
I don't know how they did it because when the game was released, Chernobyl wasn't open to tours. It is now. It was a few years back, which I'm looking to do actually.
But I was going to say,
I think I'm doing it this year. So I don't know how they built the world with little knowledge or like a few pictures, but it just seems very real. It's I mean, even if you go into like nuclear power plant, it just seems like a living, breathing power plant. It seems legit. It seems real. So I'd just say look into your source material. I don't know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Not much.
That's it.
That's it. No, man, I think that's nice. I mean, I never got a chance to play Stalker.
Yeah. But because I know it's just a PC game, so if people listening aren't that much PC gamers, you can play Metro, which has such a similar vibe, but you can get those on consoles.
Well, the new one's coming out. Was it 2033?
It's Exodus.
Right,
which is more open world now. A lot of people say it's a spiritual successor to Stalker. It's like Stalker 2, because a lot of the old Stalker devs have gone into Metro.
Where is it being made?
Metro. So it was a Ukrainian-based studio, but they actually moved their headquarters to Malta.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because I was there on holiday a few months back, and our hotel was a 5-minute walk from their studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, I think they still have a studio in Ukraine, but they moved because of all the stuff going on in Ukraine a few years back.
Wow.
Stuff which hit the news, with the riots and stuff.
One.
Yeah. But yeah.
No, we wish them the best of luck with the new one as well.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to it, man.
Looked really nice on E3, and I think they showed it off at E3 and some other other conferences, and it looks really nice. I've not played either, but looks great fun.
Definitely recommend it. Yeah, it's also based on a book.
It wasn't the same author as the guy who made The Witcher. Am I getting confused?
No. I can't remember the name, but it's different. But yeah,
different author. But no. Well, we're going to wrap this one up, guys, because Dan's got a lot of healing to do, and we're really spreading his lurgies over my microphone.
Just right for the mic.
Thanks for that, Dan. But I guess before we go, I'm going to ask you, what are you currently playing at the minute, mate?
Oh, so now I feel really bad because I got quite a few games for Christmas.
What did you get?
I got Uncharted 4, which I only played like the first half an hour, an hour. Great. But so far it's amazing.
I love it.
I mean, I love Naughty Dog anyway.
Yeah.
But a really good game so far. Evil Within.
What, the second one?
The second one, yeah. I never played the first one. I don't know why. Because it seemed good. But I got the second one, and I really like it so far. It just reminds me of Resident Evil 4. I love Resident Evil 4.
Man, that was such a great game.
Yeah. So if you haven't, get with Evil Within 2. What else did I get? Assassin's Creed, which I haven't opened yet, and South Park. Which I'm a massive South Park fan, but I haven't opened it yet.
Did you play the first one?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to play the first one.
So it's just basically a 10-hour episode of South Park.
Yeah.
It's awesome. The humour is spot on. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that. And then also PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, which I'm playing with a few people, which is great fun. It's just basically, you're looking for those, we call them PUBG moments, but if anybody plays Battlefield, it's the same sort of thing. You play for those epic Battlefield moments where something crazy goes on, and it's just like, wow, this is awesome. Yeah. That's what PUBG is about. It's really fun.
That's cool,
so those two games at the moment.
Awesome. So Dan, if anyone wants to reach you or see what you're doing, is there any way they can reach you?
Yeah, so if you do want to get in contact with me or see my work, which is kind of outdated, so I don't know if you want to, but if you do want to see it, I have a portfolio at danhargreaves.com. I think it is. It's not co.uk, it's .com, definitely .com. As you can tell, I haven't been updating my portfolio for a long time. danhargreaves.com. That's my portfolio.
Awesome. There will be a link to that in the description down below if you do want to check it out. So yeah, I want to say thank you again, Dan, for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
It has.
If you guys do have questions for me and Dan, I'm sure we'll do another episode in the future. So if you guys are looking for something, do hit me up again on Twitter at MaxPairs. And please subscribe to the Level Design Lobby. It lets me know that you're enjoying what I do and you're enjoying this smooth jazz voice. Dan's very fortunate. He gets to listen to it every day.
Yeah, well, actually, no, I don't anymore because you've moved away from me.
We don't talk about that. No. And if you are listening through to this through iTunes or any other podcasting app, please do rate the podcast because it gets more attention drawn to it, and it's all about building a community. I would also like to ask, a big request is to help support me on Patreon. Last week I did an announcement episode that the Level Design Lobby has launched a Patreon. I'm really excited about this. The Patreon is to help me make better content. So if you are enjoying the episodes as well as my tweets and everything else, then please do head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/Level Design Lobby. There'll be a link in the description below, and you'll be able to see when you do help the perks that you'll gain with this, because there's some really nice things which I think you'll all enjoy there. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you all next time.